Welcome to today's 10-minute practice. We're going to be going through a ground-based movement sequence for 3 rounds. Let's begin. First movement we're going to be looking at is the rock up to crouch for 10 reps. You want to split that up this first round for 5 repetitions on each side. As you rock back, you'll feel the ground massaging the back of your body. Use your momentum and rock up into a crouch position or a half kneeling position. You can start to rotate around. And when you finish, try to feel the stretch in your hips, maybe your ankles and your calves. A few more repetitions here. Make sure you coordinate your breathing with the movement. We're going to transition into some kneeling hip rotations. I'm going to stack myself on top of one leg and free the other leg up to internally and externally rotate. Switch sides. You can do this from a tall kneeling position or a low kneeling position. Depends on your current mobility. Just want to make sure that you're not running into any painful movements. If you feel comfortable with that, you can start alternating from side to side. Third movement we're going to look at is the kneeling get up. I'm going to tuck my toes, lean back, suck back through my hips, come up to standing. Once again, from kneeling, lift and tuck my toes, lean back, suck back into my hips and catch in that deep knee bend before I start to stand up. A little balance required for this one. As you're standing up from the knee bend, try to put your heels down as soon as you can. Or maybe you can even put your heels down in that narrow-footed squat. Just find a way to make these movements work for you. This first round, we're just practicing, getting a feel for these movements, and we'll start to polish them in the coming 2 rounds. This first round, just adding in a little forward folding, this duck under action. Again, just stretching out the hips, stretching out the back side of the body. This variation won't show up in the next 2 rounds, but you're definitely welcome to throw it in if it works for you. Next, we're going from a sprawl to a stand. Planting the hands, jumping back into a crawl position. I load my hips back and then spring forward and stand up. Really taking a nice even pace here and trying to find a smooth transition between these positions. Lower it down, extend the arms. We're going into prone and supine rolling next. You've got a few different options for this movement. You can just keep it a strict roll, driven by the core, keeping the arms and legs extended. Or you can start to reach with the arms or reach with the legs to drive the movement. Whatever's going to work for you, it's still going to challenge your core to stabilize. Want to make sure that you're not flopping as you complete the roll, but use your core to brace and control the entry and exit of the movement. Transitioning next, we're going to move into a kneeling position and going into kneeling step outs. Step out into half kneeling and glide forward into the stretch. Get a nice stretch through the back leg, the hip flexors, and also working on building better mobility through the front hip, knee, and ankle. Step out at any different angle. It all offers different stretches, slightly different stretches. Find out what's going to work best for you. Transitioning next, we're back to the top. We're going into round 2, the rock up to crouch. Going a little bit faster now. We had our practice round, and now we can add a little bit more intensity and start to polish these movements. Make the switch if you haven't yet. And as you rock up, you can start to add a forward reach, adding more of a stretch. Whatever works for you adapt these movements, modify them to fit your needs. Let's transition next into the kneeling hip rotation. Keep good posture, keep your core strong. Just focus on that internal and external rotation of the hips. Stretch them, open them up, build the mobility. This is a great way to just scan your entire visual field. We talk a lot about situational awareness. This is a good one for that. Kneeling get-ups next. Adding in a little rotational reach here. Tuck the toes, lean back, catch that knee bend position, and stand straight up. If you need to modify here and use your hands to assist, no problem there. Making the transition, crawl to squat and stand. Load it back, jump in, stand up. It's like a burpee, but we're adding in just a few different elements and still being very mindful of how we're moving along the way. Lowering down, prone and supine rolling. Keep your core strong. This is just a great pattern to feel how the core connects the upper body and lower body. Make sure to stabilize yourself in every position. Transition, sit back to kneeling, step outs. Step out, glide forward, find the stretch that works for you, and bring it back. This one. All right, here we go. Start of round 3 to finish up our practice today. Got 2 rounds under your belt. Now, this 3rd round is a chance for you to start to adapt, start to change things around a bit, polish these movements, and start to try something new. Get outside the box. How do these movements start to fit together, and how can you find that flow behind them? It's more than just isolated exercises, but these movements flow into one another. What type of practical applications could you use these movements for? And that's what natural movement is all about, finding ways to use our movements to support us in real life. Keep working those knee rotations, scanning your surroundings. Kneeling get-ups, make that transition next. Really trying to develop as much control as possible over these patterns. You want to make them look like it's just no big deal. You execute it fluidly, it looks easy, but as you practice, you find out just how many pieces there are to this movement, how much balance and coordination it all takes. And you can also feel your body being worked different ways. Last round on the crawl to stand transition. Make it fluid, make it strong. Good. Coordinate your breathing with each movement. Exhaling as you complete the stand up. One more round, prone to supine rolling. Maybe working that full hollow and arch body position. Work to hold a few of those positions. Wake the core up. Create that strong connection. Almost there. Transition back to kneeling. and finishing up with those kneeling step outs. Take new angles, reach, extend, all these actions, preparing the body in practical terms. Moving in all planes, reaching in all planes. The movement gets more effective the more imagination, the more realness you put behind the movement. I know it looks a little weird, but you'll feel the difference. The difference between simply going through the motions and really putting your intent behind it. We'll finish up today's practice with some deep breathing. Just find a comfortable seated position and work on those deep belly breaths, oxygenating the body. Now, this short practice wasn't super intense. It would be a great warm-up pre-workout or any time you find yourself in need of some movement. It's not always about pushing yourself to the limit, but it's just about expressing movement, getting more movement into your life for the sake of health. Glad you could join us today, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.